Here I'm demonstrating how to factor a trinomial that does not have 1 as its first coefficient. I've actually got the thing written out here, factored already, and then here's the FOIL form, or multiplied out form. And now I'm going to hide this right there. We'll factor this thing and then go back and make sure that we solved it, or factored it correctly. I'm going to use a technique that I teach in my class. I like it much better than the guess and check method. To do that, I'm going to take the first coefficient and the second coefficient and multiply them. Put that over here. 60. So 15 times 4 is 60. I'm going to ignore the minus sign for right now. Now I'll take that 60 and write out all of the factor pairs for it. I like to go up so I don't miss any. And that's all of them. Now what I'm going to do is look here at this minus sign right here, and that tells me to look over in these pairs and look for a pair that multiplies together. I'm sorry, look for a pair that subtracts to get this number. So it subtracts to get this number. If it was a plus sign, I'd look for a sum. So I'm looking for a difference over here that gets this number, and that is this pair right here, 6 and 10. So I'm going to take this middle term and split it up using a 6x and a 10x. Now obviously if I combine them right now, I'll get a 16x, so I'm going to make sure that one of them gets a negative sign, and let's pick the one so that we get a negative 4. So we'll need a plus right here and a minus. Okay? So everything else is going to remain the same for this step. So I've essentially just expanded this middle term out into positive 6x and negative 4x. Okay? Now, for now, I'm going to ignore this stuff right here. Simply going to ignore it. Okay? And I'm going to look at this and factor out the biggest thing I can from both of them. Well, that will be a 3x. And then I'll write the leftovers. 5x plus 2. Now, take a look at this second pair right here. I'm also going to factor out the biggest thing I can from that, and when I'm done, I hope to get 5x plus 2. If I don't, it means I'm doing something wrong. Okay? So the way I'm going to get 5x plus 2 in there is if I factor out a 2. I'm sorry, a negative 2. I'll get 5x plus 2. Notice that these two things match. Okay? Now, the last step is simply to say, alright, this entire term right here has a 5x plus 2 in it. This entire term has a 5x plus 2 in it, which means I can factor out a 5x plus 2 from each of them. Sometimes in my class I'll say I'm going to name this guy Fred and factor out Fred from both of them, or Smith or Jones or whatever name I choose. So here I go. I'm factoring out Fred, and what's left from this term when I factor out Fred? A 3x. What's left from this term when I factor out Fred? A minus 2. Close the parentheses, and we're done. Let's check and make sure that we got it right. There it is. Although the two terms are reversed, that's just fine. So, there you go.